Well, thank you for clicking on this video and joining in on what is a continuation of the experimentation with almond shell black powder. If you hadn't seen the first part of this, go back on the channel and you will see in the title almond shell black powder. I went down to La Luz, New Mexico and visited with my friends William and Jonathan. We went out to the shooting range and we did some shooting with almond shell black powder with what my friend Broken Feather had made. Now he used a little different formula than what I've used in this one, and he was kind enough to give me some charcoal, and I brought it home and I made myself my own batch the way I do it. And by way of comparison, by the time you get to the end of this video, I'll be shooting it across my chronograph to see what the numbers differences may be, or if there's any difference at all. So I guess from here on out, just enjoy what's been recorded. So we've arrived at the point of the video to see if we can determine what the specific gravity is of almond shell. And just to reflect back for a moment, the shell that I showed in the previous video, that is the shell. The almond inside does not have a secondary shell protecting it. So that's out of the way. Okay, what we have right here in the middle jar is our weeping willow. That's the control, 0.39 specific gravity. Moving to the left, now we have our Pacific willow with a specific gravity of somewhere between 45 and 50. And then moving further to the left, that's our mullein, and that's a little bit more heavier with a specific gravity. I'm hoping the camera can let you see that it occupies just a little bit less space than the Pacific willow. Moving to the far right, that's Osage orange with a specific gravity of 0.82, and this jar right here, that's your almond shell. And I would guess that that's pretty darn close to Osage orange with a specific gravity of 0.82. And you know, eyeballing the jars from where I'm at, they're pretty doggone close with the specific gravity. So with that thought in mind, I'm going to go ahead and make a double batch, 200 grams. As I already mentioned, because I got two different types of testings that I want to do with this. But with that thought also in mind, you can imagine with 75 grams of potassium nitrate, that's going to be more than enough oxygen to consume that. And that's why in the previous video, the patches were coming out very, very clean. All right, let's move on to the next portion of the video. So here's the initial test burn of the almond shell gunpowder. These are just the tailings that work their way through my pucking die. And they're still probably a little damp with water and acetone. But let's just see what it does so that I can remain consistent. It seemed to go up okay for something that's probably a little damp. Let me give you a close-up of the block. There's the block. Judge for yourselves. But it's pretty clean. About like what we saw when I went down to La Luz to shoot with William and Jonathan. But I will tell you this, personal note. And I actually communicated this with William, and he kind of concurred. What I noticed with this, now I milled 200 grams, and what I noticed is that about 12 hours it was already compacting. And I had communicated that to William, and he says his started compacting at about 9. Now mine could have been compacting a little earlier. I just went out to check on it at 12 hours, and it's like, holy cow. So what I did at that time is I took a little bit of that and I put it on the block and I lit it off like I would normally do. I didn't record it, but I could literally see bigger chunks of the KNO3 left behind, which would indicate to me it's not thoroughly mixed. Even though at 12 hours it was already, pucked on the bottom. So from 12 hours till 30 hours, let me just back up a minute. From 12 hours to about 25 hours, every half hour I went back out to break it up. From 25 hours till 30 hours, every 15 minutes I went out and broke it up because I wanted to make sure that this gunpowder is really thoroughly integrated with the potassium nitrate, charcoal, and the sulfur. And it is, because I can barely see. The only place I can see any KNO3 is right in the bottom of the track, and it's about need a magnifying glass to actually see it. But anyhow, that's my initial test. So stay tuned for the rest of it. So here's the first test of Almond. It's already been pucked, ground. It's got a good combination of 2, 3, and 4F, but I would say this particular batch is more on the 3F side than anything else. Now I'm going to do 2 burn tests. The first one, as you can see, on plate glass, and then I'm going to do another burn on a block of wood, and both of these burns will be 30 grains by volume. So I'll get the 2 test burns done, and then we'll try to decipher what we're looking at. So there's the block. I've got it in the sun right here so you can get a good look at it. You can see that there's a smoky residue on it, but what's it look like now? It's not all that bad compared to some of the other stuff that I've done in the past. And I'll tell you, the KNO3 is very minute, barely visible. But I've got to ask a question. In reality, what's the difference between doing a test burn on a block of wood and making a judgment, and doing it on a piece of plate glass and making a judgment? Try to get this maneuvered so you can get a good look at it. Because obviously you can see that there's a difference. Let me see if I can adjust this just for a minute. Okay, I think this might give us a little better view. Not quite sure. It's early in the morning and it's quite awkward to do this where I'm at right now in my shop because of shadows and everything else. But if you look at the burn track right here, you can see that there's really not a whole lot of fouling left behind. Okay, and looking at it, I can't see large chunks of KNO3, but there's obviously some grit left behind because you can hear it as I run my fingers through it. And as far as the smoke, let's just bear in mind, most of this is going to be forward of your gun barrel anyways, but let's see how dirty the smoke is on its own. Yeah, you can see it's pretty dirty. But once again, all of this is left forward of the barrel. This isn't what's staying inside your gun barrel. It's this right here. And this, listen to the grit. This is what you're pushing back down on top of your next charge. So the amount of this that's really left behind will determine, at least as far as I'm concerned, will determine how many shots you can get before you have to clean the barrel out. Okay? I mean, that's, and as I've been experimenting with that 36 caliber, the more shots I get, well, I shouldn't say the more, like 5 or 6 shots, and I have to run a brush down that barrel because it's a smaller caliber barrel and there's less room for the gunpowder, the fouling. There's less room for that to go anywhere. But, you know, there again, this is just my thought. You make up your own mind as to what you're observing here. But once again, I like how the white portion of the smoke, unlike the Swiss, is on the outer edge of it. Yeah. But see, all of this is forward of the gun barrel. Alrighty. I'm going to finish up doing the grinding. I got some more to grind, and then we'll see you out at the shooting range, and we'll see what my numbers produce as far as almond shell is concerned. Well, there you have it. 1748, 80 grains by weight, and I'll show you where it's resting in the powder measure. So there's the powder measure. I don't know if you guys can get a good view or not, but it's just a little bit above the 80 grain mark by volume. And it went down a clean barrel. I would have expected a little higher velocity, but this is about what average was when I went down and shot with William. Let me see if I can find the patch. That one was 1752. Didn't find the first patch. Let me see if I can find this one to go mark off my target. I'll be right back at you. $17.18. I didn't find the previous 2 patches, and I'm really curious because remember, I milled this gunpowder with lead media. William milled his with brass media, and we're trying to see if there's really any difference in the patches being more dirty because I use lead, or if that's just a myth. I used a red pillow ticking that time instead of white. Let me see if I can find it, go mark off the target. $17.32. I did find the second patch, so I have something to compare it to, but I'll do that a little bit later. $16.37, but I did not compact it as hard as I normally do, so I'm going to retake that shot, compact it the way I normally do, and see if I can't find that patch, because I really want to see what the difference is over multiple patches to see if it's really any dirtier than milling it with lead versus brass balls. But bear in mind, at this point right now, I'm shooting 10 more grains of powder than what I shot in down in La Luz with William. So after I get this done, I'm going to take a couple of shots with the powder measure that I used down there and just see what the difference is. Well, I found shot number 5. It's disintegrated and it looks pretty dirty. But this is shot number 5 with 70 grains when I shot down there with William. To me, there's not much of a difference. It's really not. This is dirty. This is dirty. Both of them are shot number 5, and both of them are showing the patches are shredded by shot number 5. And my shot placement is really disappointing right now, but, and I'm not trying to make an excuse, let me go get this and show you what I did. This used to be a V-notch, and I went ahead and rounded it off, so I'm kind of wondering if the round bottom is not throwing my shot off just through the motion of the frizzen going forward and that lock having a sudden stop. Maybe what I should do is put something in here to prevent that rifle from moving, if it is moving at all. When I show you the target, you'll see what I mean. But I'm going to get another shot down range. This time I'm going to make sure that I compact it like I normally do and just see what that result is. $17.50. So I'm wondering if that previous shot didn't pick up the patch. And I will tell you, and I was going to tell you, but you saw what the result was. That 6th shot, I had to really work it to get down, to get that ball really seated on top of that powder charge. But having worked at it to get it down, I got the shot back up to 1750, but you see it is getting a little dirty. Just to show you right now what the lock looks like up close, if you can see it. My impressions would be it's a little on the dirty side, but that load I didn't have any problem getting that shot, that powder or the ball in the patch down until I got down to that, last couple of inches or so. All right, I'm going to go mark the target off and see if I can find the patch and see what I want to do at this point, because I have what I want. I'll show you patch number 2 here in just a minute. I couldn't find that 6th patch, but there's close-up of the target. If you can see it, I got one way down here, shot number 5, but shot number 6 dead centered it. But you can see, I've been a lot more consistent with this rifle. But there again, I'm not making an excuse. Since I cut that V-notch out and now it's a round bottom, I may have, done something I shouldn't have. But there's the target. I'm going to load up 70 grains, the same load I was shooting down on the lows. And I'm going to shoot it through the chronograph and see what kind of numbers I'm going to get with that. And hopefully I can find one of those patches and not confuse it with the other ones. But let me just show you patch number 2 real quick. Okay, these 2 patches here are what were recovered when I shot down there with William. Okay, I can't tell you what number it is, but there's 2. Judge for yourself. This was shot number 2 up here with 80 grains. It's 10 more grains of powder. And yeah, it's a little bit more dirtier looking, but I'm shooting more powder also. So that's why I'm going to load up a couple of 70 grainers and hopefully I can find the patches. Stay tuned. $17.25. So they're just about the same, aren't they? Let me see if I can find that patch. And I don't have a target set up. I'm just shooting into the dirt embankment just simply because I just want to find patches. Okay, I found it, but I do need to make a correction. When I was in Lalouse, I used my short starter and I thought this was 70 grains. It's not. When I got home, I filled it full of powder and I weighed it, and this is actually 80 grains by weight. So forget what I said previously. But that shot right there, it was not settled. That was a static shot, and I still got 1750. I found that patch. It's not all that dirty. It's really not. It's really not. What I'd like to find is that red pillow ticking patch and see what that looks like. But that's not all that dirty. And like I said, from shot 5, 6, and 7, I was having a hard time getting that patch and ball seated on that charge as firmly as I normally do. But hey, make up your own mind. Okay, it took some time, but I found it. In fact, it made it about 3/4 of the way to the target, and I wouldn't have expected that, but here's that patch. Okay, I'm going to show you another patch from Lelou's. Now again, this patch, this powder was milled with brass media. This was milled with lead media. Make up your own mind, make your own judgment. But I will tell you, shot 5, 6, and 7, I had a hard time getting it down on top of that powder charge. Okay, which would tell me, for my purposes, it's a little on the dirty side, whereas like when I went to the rendezvous in Arizona back in November with my juniper gunpowder, 80 grains by weight, volume, it wasn't until shot 17 that I was having a hard time loading, okay? And that was all milled with lead media. But I'm not ready to settle anything yet, just simply because up here, right now, today, shot number 5, you can see it's shredded to pieces and it's dirty as hell. And this was shot number 5 down with William. Same gunpowder, lead, brass. I'm not ready to settle on anything yet because as far as I'm concerned, both these patches are identically dirty at shot number 5. Identically dirty. And they're all spit patches. So let me give you some numbers now, since it's such a beautiful morning. Okay, keeping that shot that recorded 1637, the average of those 7 shots was 1723 with a spread of 115 and the standard deviation of 37. Based on that, I would say, yeah, it's not all that great. But throwing out that 1637 shot and doing the 6 shots, I got an average of 1737 with a spread of 34 and a standard deviation of 13. So based on that, it's pretty damn good gunpowder. Would I hunt with it? Absolutely. Would I take it to a rendezvous and shoot with it? Yeah, maybe not, just simply because I can get through more shots, at least with my juniper, than I did with this. I would think that by the time I got up to shot number 8, 9, and 10, I would begin, and I suspect it would be a little bit more difficult to load with that many, with that amount of shots. Now, if you stay tuned to the channel, what I'm going to do is I have the batch done. I've got 100 grams of century plant ready to go. It's supposed to be just as nice tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. So when I get a chance, I'll get back out here and do some testing with that century plant. Okay, now, if that century plant turns out to be really, really good, then what I'll do is I'll turn around and make a 200 gram batch, and I will mill that with brass media, because William was kind enough to let me have some of his brass media so that I can do my own comparisons up here. So if you want to stay tuned for that, you're more than welcome to. I hope that you found this information informative, that you would give it a thumbs up and share it with your bestest of buds. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. You know, this channel is not based on making any money. I don't have patrons. This channel is not commercialized, but it is what it is, because I wanted to help educate people, and I'm learning along the way myself when it comes to homemade black powder, and I just want to share with everybody things that I've learned. And if there's things along the way that a person can kind of like debunk, and not maybe so much debunk, but based on old time knowledge, may not be applicable today. So we're exploring that too. So anyhow, friends, thanks for watching. I hope you'll give this a thumbs up. And once again, share it with your bestest of buds. And now I got a gun to go clean. Bye.